Welcome to Success in Doses. I'm your host, Saleh. This podcast is about the real journeys behind meaningful careers, the pivots, the risks, the moments of doubt, and the lessons that shaped who we become. Each episode, I sit down with people who are building impactful lives and careers, and we break down the experiences that help them get there. Because success rarely happens overnight, it happens in doses. Let's dive in on becoming on purpose. Welcome to another very exciting episode of Success in Doses podcast. Today's episode, we are having a conversation about building success that feels like you. It is a deeper conversation about alignment and creating a career that reflects the values, strengths, and long-term visions that we have for ourselves. To help us facilitate this conversation, I've invited Dr. Libby Shelton. She is an industry pharmacist, entrepreneur, and award winner mentor based in New Jersey. A proud Purdue PharmD and first-generation college graduate, Libby knows what it's like to navigate a pharmacy career without a roadmap. Early on, she battled self-doubt and the pressure to do it all with perfection until mentorship helped her redefine her priorities, building confidence, and going after her own version of success. Today, she serves as an oncology trainer, designing impactful training programs for pharmaceutical field teams, and recently served as a PharmD fellow and adjunct faculty at Rutgers University. Through her company, Learn with Libby, she helps future PharmDs thrive as people, learners, and professionals, which is a foundation of her signature Key 3 philosophy: person first, learner second, future PharmD third. I love this. This approach teaches students to prioritize their well-being, embrace curiosity, and own their unique value as they prepare for meaningful pharmacy careers. Named one of the top 50 influential pharmacy leaders in pharmacy, Libby is on a mission to empower the next generation of PharmDs to lead with authenticity, confidence, and purpose. Welcome to the pod. Hi, Libby.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here and super honored to be here. I love
Oh,
all that you're building, so it's exciting for me to be a part of it.
I'm so happy. Thank you so much. That's such a compliment coming from you. It really is. I feel like half the days I'm just like swinging and hoping that something lands.
Aren't we all?
I appreciate that. So I always want to start with people and kind of like from a reflective standpoint. As you hear your bio being read, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think like lately, sometimes you have those moments where you start to go back into that mindset of self-doubt, like, am I really doing the right thing? Am I living in my purpose? Am I
Yeah.
on the right track? But kind of hearing my bio being read back, it's like, yeah, I am doing that. I am doing the thing.
Indeed. And it's really true because it goes in waves. I think people feel like when you decide to create a community, a movement, a purpose, a business, anything, they think that you're doing that with absolute certainty all the time. You know exactly how this is going to unfold and shake out, and you're moving so clearly. And I think it's why I love the conversation with entrepreneurs. It's such a new term for pharmacists. At least for me, I think we never really called pharmacist entrepreneurs before. It was
Yeah.
pharmacy owners,
Yeah, that's very true.
right? Like pharmacy owners and business owners. And so I love that we are embracing that. No, we're full-fledged entities that are
Mhm.
doing a whole bunch of different things, and entrepreneurship is one of those things. How did that start for you? Because your bio, I think it's very intentional, placing in there that you navigated self-doubt. That journey from that self-doubt to saying, you know what, I'm doing it. Take us through like what some
Yeah.
that was like.
So it originally started as me thinking about, graduating. So it started when I was in pharmacy school. I want to say P3 year around that time frame, and me thinking about, okay, I want to apply to post grad programs, and how can I add some things to my CV that make me stand out. So that's kind of where it came from that aspect, but more on a personal level, like I wouldn't be where I am today without mentorship and other people pouring into me. And
Yeah.
so it felt like my duty to give back to
Yes.
others. So there's a book I read earlier this year about purpose, and it was like your purpose comes in two folds. It's like,
Mm.
how are you growing and how are you giving? And so that's something that I was like,
Ah.
this is so me.
Yeah.
That's why I do everything that I do. It's like, I want to grow, but I want to give.
Yes.
And so thinking back to that time, I was like, okay, what can I do? What do I have to offer in this current state? And so I thought originally learn with Libby was study with Libby, and then like 2 months later change to learn with Libby, and it's kind of stuck since then.
Ah.
Um, but I was sharing sort of quick little summary and cheat sheets of what we're learning
Yeah.
in pharmacy school as a way to like give back to others. I'm like, I'm learning all this clinical information. What can
Yeah.
I do with it that also supports my peers? Well, what happened was, yeah, that was very time consuming to do that work.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
Yeah.
I still want to show up online. I still want to build something. I still want to support others. How about I just start sharing my pharmacy journey and see what that'll do? And what I didn't expect from that was all the connections I made
Yeah.
through that experience. And so I learned that, hey, there's a lot of things that in this pharmacy community and even online, we're not really talking about. And a lot of that was industry. It
Yeah.
was the things around imposter syndrome in pharmacy.
Yeah.
Um, and all the various topics and experiences that we have that aren't necessarily unique to pharmacy, but have a unique lens looking at
Yeah.
pharmacy. And so
Absolutely.
that's kinda where it all started.
That's amazing, and I think, like, what you're touching on is to that isolation that comes with ambition or wanting to do anything. I think, like, when you're in pharmacy school and you come up on your first challenge, you swear you're the first person that's ever had this happen to. Like, you swear
Mhm.
that nobody's ever come up against where a single exam is going to define whether you graduate on time or not. You're the only person that has never matched at phase one. You're the
Mm,
only person that has stepped up for a leadership role and didn't get elected. And I think what I really like about social media is exactly what you're saying. Like, one student candidly sharing their journey has such a powerful thing and ability to normalize that experience for someone else. And all of a sudden, the power of that isolation and shame and all these other things that come into any ambitious journey, it could really go away by just finding
mhm.
one, yeah, right, like one
Yep.
other person that you can relate to.
That's
You,
I've been there. I've
yeah,
done it. I survived it.
yeah,
It really does change the trajectory, I say, yeah.
it does. Okay, so real quick, if you're enjoying this conversation, go ahead and rate and review the podcast. It helps more people find the show and keeps the conversation going. Okay, so let's get back to the conversation. The mentorship component, how long has that been a pillar in like your journey and your growth and development? I've had people straight up tell me I didn't have the privilege of having mentorship, and I'm like, really? How did you do it? And I was curious to know if mentorship had been something that you've benefited from all along, or it kind of became more of an integral part after you got started professionally.
Yeah, I'd say that, I did discover the power of mentorship pretty early on in my pre-pharmacy days, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was
Yeah,
something I was supposed to be doing. I like first gen student. Like my
yeah.
parents never worked in corporate environments either, and so all of this was new to me. But I went to our IPHO chapter at Purdue, had a guest speaker come, and it was Dr. George
Ah,
Opperman.
I just had him.
Yes, I love him dearly.
Yeah.
And he was one talking about industry, so that's where my spark for industry came, but also he spoke very highly on like the power of mentorship, get people
Yeah.
in your corner, talk to people, reach out to people, network, connect with others. And that night, like after that 1 hour chapter meeting, I went back to my dorm room. I created a LinkedIn profile and I was just reaching out to every industry pharmacist I knew. And there was one lady, um, Lauren Lyles, I think that's her name now that she's married. Dr.
Uh,
Lauren Lyles.
yeah.
I reached out to her and I was so shocked because, I'm just away, just sending messages
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
off, just sending them off. And I got a response and I was like, wait a minute,
What do we do
what?
after this?
I got a response, but she was like, let's chat tomorrow. I'm free this time. And I was like, I didn't
Mm,
know that. this is how it will go. And like I got on the
Yeah.
call with her and she's like, all right, we're gonna talk every couple months. Here's what you're gonna do. Here's your
Yeah.
homework. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, I would have never known that like these
Yeah.
are things I needed to do to like be
Mhm.
successful and learn without it. And so she is my day one mentor and forever grateful for her and that experience for kind of
Mhm.
showing me how it's done.
Yeah, and I tell students, like, when you're, like, following advice, you're just thinking about, "Okay, the advice said I should do this." And then the first time that works out, you're like, "I didn't ask about what happens." Like,
What happens next?
what happens next? Like, no one said, like, "Oh, after I interview well and I get the job offer," no one actually I didn't look into how the salary negotiation goes. And they're asking me, like, about my desired salary. Like, I actually don't know the answer to this. So I think that's so funny that you were like, I took the advice, I heard the advice that I needed to kind of reach out and put myself out there. And then someone said, "Hey, what's up? Well, let's do
And they're like,
this."
let's talk tomorrow. And I'm like, wait a minute, tomorrow.
What do we talk about? Like, how does that I think that's so cool, and I think that's a very important story to tell because people are petrified to cold turkey inbox people, and cold turkey email, and they don't understand that the person on the receiving end actually admires because they know how much courage it takes to cold turkey inbox or cold turkey email people. With respect to how your career unfolded and the mentorship, you've been super, super transparent about and sharing its impact on you. How does Libby see success for herself as a final year student pharmacist? Did you have a definition at that time?
Yeah. Um, I knew so my definition was kind of built on my own values, how I wanted to grow and how I want to give, right? So thinking about growth, the areas I wanted to grow in is I love teaching, I love educating. So that was something that was super important for me, how I wanted to grow in that regard. The other piece, of course, I wanted to grow in industry. I wouldn't say it was like, yes, I applied to fellowship for that reason, but I was more looking for like the growth opportunities to discover how can I teach, how can I educate, and what that may look like within industry.
Yeah,
The other side of it was giving, and so my dad, he got diagnosed with cancer, during pharmacy school, and so,
really?
he's now a cancer survivor, doing well,
Oh my
so
gosh.
there's a, positive side to that story, but my, like, goal, I was like, "I don't wanna work in any other disease state, it has to be oncology,"
Ah,
because I wanna give to patients like my dad,
yeah,
and so that was key for me, so that's kind of what my success metric was.
yeah.
It was working in some opportunity for me to educate others in addition to, serving oncology patients.
It's purpose and mission driven. I love that. I think like it's so important because professional career building and development can get so discouraging at times, like coming up against your first no or first challenge when it's so clear in your mind, like if you gave me a shot, I know I would execute so well on this. Like I just need a shot. So, talk to us a little bit about how the mission, vision, and like that purpose has been important, or how you've leveraged the purpose and the mission that you have to help yourself stay
Mhm.
grounded and keep going, even when the journey becomes really challenging.
Yeah. I will say so in the last year. So once I finished, fellowship, I knew what I wanted to do after fellowship, and the opportunity just wasn't there.
Oh, wow.
Had to keep reminding myself, like, how am I growing in this opportunity? How is it still aligned? And it was very closely aligned to
Okay.
what I wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
And so I just had to be reminding myself, I'm using the skills, I'm still addressing the mission in a little different way, but like
Yeah.
I'm still teaching, I'm educating, and I'm still serving cancer patients. Those are the two things that kind of were grounding me over the last year. And I think looking back on the last year, I learned so much and I grew so much from this opportunity that was a little bit of a detour, right? But
Yeah.
it still added value and helped me grow
Yeah.
and still supported my purpose and my mission along the way. You may be taking a detour, but again, everything happens the way it's supposed to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I feel very lucky for how it's all worked out up until this point. So
Where do you think that comes from? Okay, first of all,
Mhm.
congratulations. I want to commend you because it takes a lot of maturity to be able to link the thing that doesn't look like what you want to still identify, but my pillars are still here. I want to
Mhm.
grow, I want to give, and it's still with the patient population I wanted. I think that that's remarkable. Where do you think that come from? Was that something you think professional growth taught you, or it's something that you feel like has just been cultivated through life experiences, lived experiences? Because I'm hearing you say it's all going to happen the way it's supposed to, like that positive outlook and believing in purpose. Where does that come from, you think?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it is faith in addition
Yeah.
to just like the values that have been instilled in me. I gotta shout
Yeah.
out my mother. I say if you ever wonder why I am the way that I am, just look to my mother.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She's the blueprint for why I am the way that I am.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
and so one of the things that we'd even like talked about when, I was going through the fellowship process and thinking about, oh, if this doesn't work out, what does plan B look like and whatnot.
Yeah.
We talked about like me and her, you don't change the goal. Your path may change, but the goal
Yeah.
still stays the same. And carrying that through this experience, the seed was planted during fellowship.
Yeah.
I got lucky. It all worked out during that case. So when we think about fellowship to full-time employment, it still worked out, right? So I had really had to come back to that lesson
Wow.
that I gained from her. Yeah. You don't change the goal. We just
Yeah.
change our approach and how we're gonna get there.
Percent. That's a life lesson. That's not just a career lesson. Okay, so real quick, if you're enjoying this conversation, go ahead and rate and review the podcast. It helps more people find the show and keeps the conversation going. Okay, so let's get back to the conversation.
I love
But
I love that you said life lessons, so that's my mom's, like, big thing. When we graduated high school, all 3 of us, so me and my brothers, we got books from her that were, like, life lessons from and so, like, that's her thing. It's like
see,
life lessons.
it really, because it's so true. It's just being clear about the goal and then just preparing yourself that, like, the road may not look exactly like I have it mapped out, but I'm clear about where I'm trying to go. It really is a life hack. And a lot of people, it takes them some time. I think it's beautiful that you have your mom that has kind of served as that anchor to help you navigate that. When you were applying for fellowship, I think people that opt not to apply for postgraduate training and go the non-traditional route, they look at the traditional route like the easy way. And I tried to tell them, if you even tried slightly, you would know that there is nothing easy about deciding that you're going to take the residency route or you're going to take the fellowship route. What was that journey like for you? It sounds like that IPHO meeting where you met George was like a major turning point in building that roadmap. But what was that journey like for you as a young professional after you identified, like, yeah, I think this is the move?
Yeah, I'd say that was definitely the spark, but then I had my moments where I was like, "Well, maybe I wanna do something clinical." I
Yeah.
think, one of the things I've been talking with a lot of, like, my mentees right now is that journey, right? So, like,
Yeah.
deciding and I always say, like, "You don't have to be married to anything."
So true.
It's just you decide what you wanna do right now in this season that makes sense for you right now.
Yeah.
You should think about long-term outcomes and where you wanna be and if it makes sense in your path. But you're not married to it. You have
100%.
options and
Yeah.
there's opportunities for pharmacists. And so find examples of those
Mhm.
options and
Yeah.
opportunities when you start doubting yourself a little bit.
A
Um,
little bit.
let others, kind of show you the way.
Yeah.
So for me, making that decision came down to, yeah, once I knew that I wanted to go the fellowship route, it was around, okay, now what do I wanna do? Because there's so many different fellowships out there, and so using George's advice to get on
Yeah.
LinkedIn and connect with people and just discover, like, what are the opportunities out there, and then do a lot of self-reflection. So I call it, finding your fit, but you gotta look in the mirror a little bit. And so I think Appy rotations really helped with that, just having different experiences. And, I kind of charted out like what are the things I absolutely loved from my Appy rotations? Things I love, I could do all day long. They're happy, they
Yeah.
filled my cup from a professional sense. And then what are the things I absolutely did not enjoy and
Yeah.
want to do again? Like, sure, maybe I could do them and I could do it well, but like They drained me. And so kind of doing that reflection after all the experiences that I have, and it wasn't just a one-time reflection that I did this. This was a continuous,
Continuous. Yeah.
which I think is something that's really important because people are like, "Well, I do that, I kinda know." I'm like, "But it's an evolution, right?"
It's an evolving thing.
Especially as you get different experiences, like,
Yes.
it may change or
Yeah.
even it could be professional experience or life experiences too. They may change
Yeah.
how you see certain things, and so that played a role into me figuring out what functional area within industry made sense for me, and I ended up going the commercial side of things, and so I applied for all marketing positions except for one, which is the one I ended up accepting, which is kinda funny, but it's a rare a fellowship, so that's why.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it really did help going through that exercise, and then it helped me tell my story, right? Because I
Yeah.
knew what I had to offer, what I really loved doing, and how it related to this role. And then when
Mhm.
I was networking with people, I could talk about those things. I
Yeah.
could ask what that looked like in their role. And also just understanding not only this is like my number one tip for those interested in fellowship. Don't just understand your role that you're interested in, but learn about all the other roles that you will work with too.
Yeah.
Because that's how you become a better partner, better collaborator.
Yeah.
Any role that you could ever have within industry is going to require you to
True.
work with a whole team of folks that have
Yes.
very different backgrounds than you do,
Yes.
and come with a very different perspective. So if you can understand their perspective,
Mhm.
you'll be a much stronger candidate, but also just a better professional and collaborator to work with. That's a lot.
100%. No, but they're all really important things. I think when you're in pharmacy school, you don't necessarily think that healthcare is a team sport, but it really is.
Mhm.
And I remember when I was interviewing for residency, I used the example of my love of soccer as a sport. And when I played soccer as a younger, much younger person, I don't do that anymore. I see running as this is how I die. This is how I'm going to meet my maker if I decide that I'm going to run. So I don't do that anymore. But one of the most important lessons that I feel like soccer teaches you is positioning, collaborating, and understanding how everybody on that field and their placement impacts how you perform. And I remember like using that example when I interviewed in residency. It was a different way of telling the story that I was an excellent partner because I took the time to know how other people did their thing. So
Yep.
I always know how to position myself to be useful on that team. But it's that storytelling component. And I think that as we both mentor people, it's that door that unlocks for them and helping them, like, I know you're really good at this, but how can you understand how those other people that you're going to work with and using what you're good at to show them, like, this is how I'm going to plug myself in and this is how I'm going to plug myself in. I want to take some time to talk about Learn with Libby because I think it is such a powerful thing that you're building and a really awesome thing you're building. You invited me to come on Learn with Livy to meet your mentees and speak with them as part of a panel, and I thought it was such a cool experience. For the person that has never heard of Learn with Libby, how would you describe what Learn with Libby is for them?
Yeah. So Learn with Libby is my platform for sharing my journey, but also empowering others through that. So is real experiences. I don't try to show just the highlights. I try to show the realities of this journey, and it has been a journey. And I've been creating content over the last. I was like, it's been a business for 3 years, but creating content
Ah,
for maybe 5, 6 years at this point, which is
wow. It shows. It shows.
and it's been an evolution too, just like I said,
Ah,
it was study with Libby for the first couple months, and then it ended up being learn with Libby, and that's kinda stuck. And so now I'm in this new phase, so the evolution, right,
mhm.
into the community, and so
Yeah.
that community is ambition into action, because I know that as pharmacy students and professionals, we tend to be pretty ambitious. We have
Yeah.
goals and dreams and things that we want to achieve, but sometimes we don't always know how to get there, and so that's where this community comes in. You have me, but
Yeah.
you also get connected to other
Bunch.
pharmacists, other
Mhm.
professionals, other students who
Yeah.
have other experiences that they can share. So that's what we do in the community. We have a session at least about once a week. We have different themes. So I know we just talked about storytelling, and
Mhm.
one of the themes that we had last month was actually the art of presenting and presentations. And
Yeah.
so kind of putting that together, how do you tell a story? How do you tailor it to who your audience
Yes.
is? And a presentation doesn't have to be formal with slides, right? It could be
Mhm.
you pitching yourself. And so we got a really cool crew in there, all the way from pre-pharmacy
That's
students
good.
to a couple recent grads. So
Ah.
quite a mix of people, and we get lovely guest speakers like Saleh in there to come and share their experiences. So it's a fun time.
Yeah, it really is cool. It's pre-pharmacy, pharmacy students, new grad, new practitioners, having those of us that have been winging it for a while come in there and share our wisdom with them. I appreciate the opportunity anytime to kind of share what my journey's been like, and platforms like yours or one of the ones I love going to. I want to talk a little bit about horizon. It's important to you. Your mom's guidance has been so important to you as Learn with Libby grows and it becomes, let me say, you are in 50 different countries. It's a national conference that you hold every year. Like there are over 5,000 people that you've had touch points with in any given year or 2 year period. Three things that will never change about Learn with Libby. What would you say those things are right now when you look back on how this thing, you envision it exploding?
Yeah, I think the connection piece of it. So I think, and it's funny that I say that. So on my screen over here is like my vision board. It's actually from 2025, but my word last year was connect. And I have a hard time changing it because I just love this vision board
Yeah.
and the idea of like connection because I always say like people are your greatest resource, but that sounds selfish, right? But it's like they give you the opportunity to pour into others, but also to gain so much from
Yeah.
people even and I always tell people don't be afraid to connect with others because you never know how what they have to share, their story,
Yeah.
their experience will support you in some
Yeah.
sort of way. And so like everyone has something to offer and I like
Yeah.
to remind people of that. So I think the connection piece is something that I will never give up. And it's not just even for me to connect, but to foster connections between others. I
Other
think
people.
that is so important because sometimes you go to these events or conferences or even because I'm building a virtual community,
Mm.
and it's a little bit harder to make those connections, but I
Yeah.
think we within the community always make time for it. So at the end of this month, I have the speed networking event that we do, and so it's an opportunity to just invite people to connect
Yeah.
and meet with people they may never have the opportunity to cross paths with, but because
Yeah.
y'all signed up for this virtual event, you'll do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one for me. I think the other thing is just transparency. Like I'm an open book. I'm always happy to share my stories, the positives, the wins, and the lows along the way
Mhm.
because I think that vulnerability allows you to again connect with people. Like that's showing the human side of things.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I think that transparency and vulnerability will also never change. Like I always say, my favorite thing in the world is real and raw conversations, and that's why I
Yeah.
appreciate what we're doing here.
Yeah.
It's real and raw, not unscripted.
Mhm.
And so I love that. Evolving to address the needs of others. So
Yeah.
I think I like to innovate and be creative, and that's my favorite thing about, running a business is I get to do that on
Yeah.
my terms. But I think it's that innovation with purpose. Like it's
Yeah.
not I'm not just creating just to create. I'm creating
Mhm.
to serve others and fill a
Yeah.
need that
Yeah.
isn't there. And so I think those
Yeah.
those are the three things that I would say wouldn't change. The connection, the vulnerability and transparency, and then kind of innovating with purpose.
I love that. And I think that you are doing that right now. Like, I don't think that that is anything that I anticipate that with growth, with scale, that is going to change because, like, as an outsider person that sometimes has had the opportunity and privilege of being invited in, it's true to it. The pearls you share are true. They're not always clean. They're not always like glossy and glitzy, but it's almost like what you're saying. Your mission with what you want the world to know about your journey isn't that it's been perfect, but it's that despite the detours, the imperfections, you've stayed very, very committed and steadfast to what you are trying to accomplish because of that clarity of purpose that you have. And I hope that as you are a person today that's meeting Libby for the first time, or a person that is learning about Learn with Libby today for the first time, that and you are looking for that. Maybe that isolation is like really got you in a chokehold right now. There is a community that exists that meets on a weekly basis, that they share highs, they share lows. That's what I remember about being at your
Yes.
thing the other day. I was right. I was like, I love this, like the highs and the lows of the week. And there's a community and a group of people that are all sharing that. And it's so safe. I remember that too. I remember the safety of the environment. And that's not something that you can buy. I think that that's something that you work really intentionally to cultivate and create when you get people together. So I think like that's another major strength of Learn with Libby that I've gotten to know that I want other people to also know about. I ask every guest this question because I think you guys are super brilliant and like smart and have a lot to share. But what is one dose of advice that Libby has for the person that is interested in building something and they want whatever that thing is to be an accurate reflection and representation of who they are?
Yeah, I think reflecting on who you are in your journey and creating what you could have needed earlier on in your path. I think
Yeah.
that is how you make it as authentic as possible. Like I could have really used this community earlier in my journey as a first gen student. And so now I'm
Yeah.
creating it and it's authentic to me
Yeah.
because I'm creating what I could have used. Like I know
Yeah.
this experience firsthand. So that would be my advice, just reflecting on the journey and building what a younger you could have used.
Yeah, that can't be overstated. That's literally why Resi Prep exists. For a longest time, like people are like, you need a more formal mission statement. I was like, but there is no other mission. The mission was just, I didn't want the isolation, the uncertainty, and the just throwing things and hoping something sticks to the wall strategy. I remember how that absolutely had me in a wreck emotionally and didn't want that to be the experience for someone else. And I thought I could tell them how I avoided some of those things. And so I think it's a tried and true advice that you've just given. And I hope everybody here today is listening and they heard it and are receiving it. So thank you for this. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your courage to share so honestly and candidly online. It continues to be a place I point people to, like Learn with Libby. You should follow her. She has a lot that she can share with you and support you. And if there's anything I can ever do to support, to help amplify that you're doing, I hope you know that that is just a simple text message or DM that doesn't need to be formal. And I appreciate and wish you all the best. And I am grateful for the opportunity to watch all of what you're doing and continue to cheer you on as you get more and more successful.
That was so sweet.
Olivia, you're so cute. I mean it completely. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks, Libby. Well, guys, now that it's just us, I am so, so happy that you had an opportunity to meet Libby today. I think that pharmacists online like Libby or like a necessity that we need to protect. I think that her candor with how grounded she is about her mission, her vision, and how important mentorship was for her, and her decision to create an entire business structure around creating curriculum, programming, space so that she can give that back. If you listen to this episode, how many times did she say, I want to learn and grow and I want to serve? It is a true thing for her. And each time I speak to her, I learn one more thing about her that makes me admire and respect her even more, right? I want to do more to support her because I am a person, like one of those people that did discover mentorship a little later. And when I did, I know how transformative it was for my career and even my decision to go to pharmacy school. And so for me, Learn with Libby has got to exist. Access to Learn with Libby has got to be open to more people because it is needed, it is necessary. Professional growth, professional career navigation, professional career development is incredibly complex and isolating. And having safe spaces and communities like what Libby's working on creating and growing are a huge part of bridging some of that gap. And it's why I love her and respect all of what she's doing. But today, what we learned is that your anchors, your reflection, they have got to be things you pay attention to and revisit constantly because you as a person are changing. So the things you care about and the things that you want to do will also change. So don't feel like because it's a yes today, the opportunity to revisit certain things and say, it was a yes, but now it's a maybe because something else has come into the mix that I believe I am more attracted to now and that I would be better at to serve in now. I love that she talks about as much as she has clarity and is clear on what the goal is and things like that, she leaves room for continuous reflection in her journey to reassess and recalibrate the plan however it needs. But there's something else she also said I think is very important for us to take away from this episode. It's that while the journey may change, while how we get there may change, the goal, we get clear about the goal and commit to the goal at all costs. I am so grateful that you are here listening, and I'm grateful and thank you again to Libby for her time, her generosity in sharing, her transparency and vulnerability and sharing with us today. But I hope that your Monday is off to a great start and that you heard something on this episode today that really spoke to you that you can turn into action. More importantly, I want to encourage you to go find Libby and join her community and support her. She is available, I believe, on all platforms, but Instagram is where I tend to kind of follow her the most. But definitely, if you are a student pharmacist or a young professional, Libby is one more person you need to be following and keeping up with because she's definitely one of the real ones. Thank you again and have a wonderful week. And we get to come back to you with a brand new episode again next week, Monday. As always, I want you to remember that success does not happen in giant leaps and bounds. It really does happen one dose at a time. So be kind to yourself and others as we all continue to learn and grow and obtaining the version of success that we all feel we want and can absolutely get. Okay, bye. See ya. If this episode gave you something to think about, something to hold on to, or even something to act on, I want to ask you for one more thing. Take a moment to rate and review the podcast. It feels really small, but it's actually one of the biggest ways you can support this show. It helps more people find these conversations and become part of this community we're building right here on Success and Doses.